Sacagawea's Journey into History by Jeanette Cannon. You may have seen this gold-colored dollar coin. It shows the face of a young Native American woman carrying a baby on her back. She is one of the only women on the U.S. legal coin. So, who was she? Zoom in, see that coin. Sacagawea was a Shoshone Indian born at the end of the 1700s in an area now called Idaho. Her early life was difficult. Sometime between 1799 and 1801, she was captured by a group of Hidatsa Indians and taken away from her people. She was only 12 years old. By age 16, she was married to a French fur trader named Toussaint Charbonnet, who lived with the Hidatassas. Her adventures were just beginning. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson decided to map out the newly expanded nation. He sent Meriwether Lewis and William Clark on an expedition to explore the land. In May of 1804, the explorers began traveling on the Missouri River in canoes. One of their jobs was to take notes about what they saw. They drew pictures of plants and animals they saw. They made maps as they went along. They carried them with special tools to help them as they traveled. Everything was wrapped so water would not damage anything. In November 1804, Lewis met Charbonneau and hired him as a translator. Sacagawea joined her husband on the expedition. Their baby was born soon after the journey began. Though Sacagawea was not a guide on the journey, she helped the travelers in many ways. One of Lewis and Clark's diary entries from May 14, 1805, tells how Sacagawea's calm bravery saved important objects and information from being lost forever. Wow, it seems like Sacagawea was really helpful on the guide. One day, a terrible storm caused Sacagawea's canoe to tip over. All the men were trying to get the canoe upright. Sacagawea calmly went into the water. Her baby was strapped to her back. She saved the notebooks and tools that would have floated away. Wow, that is so brave. Later that year, the explorers came to the Shoshone territory. Sacagawea helped them find a route through the mountains. She also helped them buy horses from a fellow Shoshone. A few months later, the group had their first look at the Pacific Ocean. Before beginning the return journey, the explorers built a camp to stay in over the winter. Wow, it seems like there's a camp picture on the right. It says Lewis and Clark's winter camp at Fort Capslop is now a National Historic Park near Astoria, Oregon. Paragraph 10. In May 1806, a few months after they started their journey home, the travelers met a group of Nez Perce Indians. Sacagawea helped the two groups speak to each other. On the way back east, Sacagawea guided the group along trails she remembered from her childhood. One important trail was a gap in the mountains that led them to the Yellowstone River. Wow, it seems like she really knows the land. The journey ended for Sacagawea in August 1806. People who traveled with her wrote about her cheerfulness and helpfulness. They all said she showed great courage. In 2000, 2 centuries after Sacagawea was born, a special US dollar coin was created. It honors a brave young woman who helped explore a new nation. On the right, you can see the stamp. It says, "The U.S. Postal Service issued this stamp in honor of Sacagawea in 1994. And then our last page, I'm going to zoom out a little, has a timeline. When I was reading, we heard some dates. 1788, Sacagawea is born. 1799 through 2001, Sacagawea is captured by Hidatsa. Ooh, 1904, Lewis and Clark Expedition. November 1804, Sacagawea and her husband Charbonneau joined the Lewis and Clark Expedition. May 1805, Sacagawea saves important information during a storm. So brave. August 1805, Sacagawea helps Lewis and Clark trade for Shoshone horses. November 1805, the company reaches the Pacific Ocean. December 1805, the explorers built Fort Clatsop and camped there for the winter. That's the picture we saw. 1806, May 1806, the group meets up with several Nez Perce chiefs. Charbonnet and Sacagawea translate. July 1806, Sacagawea and the group reach Yellowstone River. March 1811, Sacagawea and Charbonnet moved to South Dakota. So that's like kind of a timeline of some of the events we talked about. So it organized. It starts where she was born in 1788, and it ends when they moved to South Dakota.